Hello, welcome back to LK Tuition. My name's Lucas and today we're going to be looking at converting decimals and percentages. Hope you're well and let's get cracking. First of all, we're just going to look at converting from decimals into percentages, and the way you do that is you multiply by 100. So whatever decimal you get, multiply it by 100 and that's what your percentage will be. So for example, 0.23 is the same as 23%. Now I will do another video on multiplying by 10, 100, 1000, etc. But to multiply by 100, a good trick is just to move this decimal point 2 places to the right, and that's going to give you that 23%. Similarly, we've got 4.56, that will give you 456%. And 0.0125 is the same as 1.25%. And again, we can just shift that decimal point twice to show you where the decimal point should be in your answer. Great, well let's just try a couple of questions. So the first one says write 0.66 as a percentage. So we just think about moving this 1 and 2, your decimal points there, so that is 66%. Next one says write 0.03 as a percentage. So again, same idea, 1, 2, that is going to be 3%. The next one is 83.5. Now this is going to move 1, 2. Now here we've not gone past a number, but what you can do is 83.5, we can stick in as many zeros as we want, and then it's easier then to go 1, 2, that's my decimal point, so this is 8,350%. And then finally we've got 0.0007 recurring as a percentage, so we want this, let me grab a different colour. So again we move 1, 2, so that's going to be 0.07 recurring percent. Okay, great. So now let's have a look at going backwards. So now we want to go from a percentage to a decimal, and you might have guessed it, if you multiply to go one way, you divide to go the other way. So to go from a percentage to a decimal, you divide by 100. So for example, 73% is 0.73, and this time because we're dividing by 100, we've got an invisible decimal point here, we move it 2 to the left, so it's 0.73. 1% is 0.01. Okay, so imagine we've got 1 there, stick a few zeros to the left if you want to. Every number, we'll do this in detail in a different video, but every number, once it's finished, has an infinite number of zeros to the right and an infinite number of zeros to the left. So you can just put some there, so it's easier to move your decimal 1 and 2, so that's why it's going to be 0.01. And then 525.5%, again you just move your decimal point 1, 2, it's going to be 5.255 as a decimal. Okay, so let's just try a couple more questions. So the first one is we want to write 98 as a decimal. Well, that is going to be 0.98. As always, give these a go. Feel free to pause the video. 6% as a decimal. Now, the mistake people make with this is they think, oh, 6%, that is 0.6. But that is wrong, yeah? So remember, you've got a 6, you've got a load of zeros here, your decimal point's here, and you move it 1, 2. So your answer is going to be 0.06. Okay, let me just underline these answers. Then we've got 4.2 recurring as a decimal. So this is 4.2 recurring. We've got a load of zeros here. We move it 1, 2. So it's going to be 0.042 recurring. Okay, and finally 835 as a decimal. Well, you've got an invisible decimal there, and it's 1, 2. So that's going to be 8.35, like that. Okay, great. Now finally, let's do a worded example. So Mr. Jacobs and Miss Delgado have both marked history tests, but Mr. Jacob has written the results as a decimal and Miss Delgado has written them as a percentage. Put these results in order, starting with the lowest. Okay, well what we want to do here is make sure that they're all in the same form. So why not make them all a percentage? So these ones that are percentages are already done, so we can leave them. So let's just do these other three. So 37, 0.37 is going to be 37%. And 0.6 is going to be 60%. And just 1 is the same as 100%. Okay, so we want to put these in order. So let's just check them out. So the lowest one to me looks to be 8%. So that's 1. Then 37%. Then 42%. Then 60%. Then 96%. And then 100. And when you write them back in order, you want to put them as they originally were. So the first one is 8%. The second one was 0.37. Then it was 42%. Then it was 0.6. Then it was 96%. And then it was 1. Okay, so these results are now in order. Okay, so hopefully you found that useful. So remember, if you're going from a decimal to a percentage, you times by 100. And if you're going from a percentage to a decimal, you divide by 100. Okay, this has been LK Tuition. Please remember to like and subscribe. And please come back later for some more maths videos.